Imagine a world holding its breath for 50 years. A world where two superpowers, armed with enough firepower to destroy civilization many times over, stared each other down across a global chessboard. This wasn't science fiction. This was the Cold War, and at its heart was the most terrifying arms race in human history. How did we get to a point where the push of a button could end everything? And how did we manage to survive? Let's uncover the real story of when the world froze. It all began in the ashes of World War II. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies, were now ideological rivals. The US championed capitalism and democracy, while the USSR spread communism. This wasn't a traditional war with battlefields and marching armies. It was a war of spies, propaganda, and, most importantly, technology. The game changed forever in 1949 when the Soviet Union successfully tested its own atomic bomb. The American nuclear monopoly was over, and the race had begun. What followed was a frantic scramble for supremacy. It wasn't just about having bombs. It was about having more bombs, bigger bombs, and better ways to deliver them. The 1950s saw the development of the hydrogen bomb, a weapon hundreds of times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima. Both sides built fleets of long-range bombers, like the American B-52, capable of carrying nuclear payloads across continents. The skies became a new frontier of tension. This escalating paranoia gave birth to a chillingly logical concept: mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The idea was simple and terrifying. If both sides had enough nuclear weapons to completely annihilate the other, even after suffering a surprise attack, then neither side would ever dare to start a war. It was a balance of terror. Your survival depended on your enemy, knowing that attacking you meant their own destruction. This doctrine meant building more missiles, more submarines, and more elaborate command and control systems. It wasn't about winning a war anymore, it was about ensuring no one could. But MAD was a fragile piece. The world learned just how fragile in October 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The discovery of Soviet nuclear missiles being installed in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, brought the world to the absolute brink of nuclear war. For 13 days, people around the globe watched as American President John F. Kennedy and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev engaged in a high-stakes standoff. U.S. naval ships blockaded Cuba, and military forces were on their highest alert. A single mistake, a single miscalculation, could have triggered an unstoppable chain reaction. Behind the scenes, tense negotiations eventually led to a secret deal. The Soviets would remove the missiles from Cuba in exchange for a U.S. pledge not to invade the island, and a secret promise to remove U.S. missiles from Turkey. The world exhaled, but the crisis was a terrifying wake-up call. The arms race wasn't just fought with missiles. It was also a war of shadows and secrets. Spies from the CIA and the KGB played a deadly game of cat and mouse, trying to steal technological secrets and gauge the enemy's true strength. This was the era of the U-2 spy plane, which flew at incredible altitudes to photograph secret Soviet military sites. One being shot down in 1960 caused a major international incident. As technology advanced, the spies in the sky became satellites. Projects like the American Corona program used satellites to take pictures from orbit, providing unprecedented intelligence. The Soviets had their own Zenit satellites doing the same. Each side was desperately trying to peer behind the Iron Curtain, to count the other's missiles and bombers, all to maintain the delicate, terrifying balance of MAD. To maintain that balance, both superpowers developed a nuclear triad. This was a three-pronged system for launching a nuclear attack, ensuring that a first strike couldn't wipe out their entire arsenal. The first leg was long-range bombers. The second was land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, buried in hardened underground silos ready to launch at a moment's notice. The third, and perhaps most crucial leg, was the submarine-launched ballistic missile, or SLB. Nuclear-powered submarines could hide in the depths of the ocean for months, undetectable, carrying a payload of missiles that could be launched from anywhere. These boomers were the ultimate insurance policy for mutually assured destruction. The cost of this race was astronomical. Trillions of dollars were poured into research, development, and the production of weapons that everyone hoped would never be used. This immense spending strained the economies of both nations, but particularly the Soviet Union. By the 1980s, the U.S., under President Ronald Reagan, launched the Strategic Defense Initiative, nicknamed Star Wars. It was a hugely ambitious and controversial plan to build a space-based shield to shoot down incoming Soviet missiles. While its feasibility was heavily debated, the project put immense pressure on the already struggling Soviet economy to keep up. This relentless technological and economic pressure, combined with internal problems and a desire for reform within the Soviet Union, eventually led to the thawing of the Cold War. Leaders like Mikhail Gorbachev recognized that the arms race was unsustainable. A series of crucial arms control treaties, like the START agreements, were signed, beginning the long process of dismantling parts of these vast nuclear arsenals. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989 and the Soviet Union dissolved in 1991, the Cold War was officially over. The world that had been frozen in a state of perpetual tension for nearly half a century began to change. The Cold War arms race is a stark reminder of how close we came to global catastrophe. It was a period defined by fear, suspicion, and incredible technological leaps driven by the ultimate what-if scenario. The concept of mutually assured destruction, the tense moments of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the shadowy world of spies and satellites all shape the world we live in today. While the immediate threat has subsided, the nuclear weapons still exist, and the lessons of the Cold War remain as relevant as ever. Understanding this history is crucial to ensuring we never again stand so close to the brink. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments what piece of Cold War history you find most incredible. See you in the next video.